Hi everyone, welcome back to Art Abilities. This is week 2. I am Emily and I will be leading you through our project today. So this week you should get your video on February 17th of 2022. So today let's go over our materials first. So let's find our week 2 bag and we're going to look through what we have. You should have a big rectangular canvas. You've got a small container of blue paint. Got a silver metallic pen. Got a sheet of white construction paper. And then you should have 2 paintbrushes. So everyone should have one that's a little bigger and one that's a little smaller. Okay. So you can set the bag aside. We won't need that. And additional things you're going to need. I want you to grab that glue from week 1. Whoop. That should be with your other art supplies. We asked you to save it, so I hope you did. So grab your glue. You're going to need a glass of water. So I have this old spaghetti sauce glass jar that I use for crafts, but just get something, a plastic cup or something that you're not going to drink out of, and fill it with water. We're going to use that to clean our brushes. And then you're also going to need something to cover your surface. So I like to use grocery bags. So I'll just get any kind of paper grocery bag and just line your table with it so that we don't get any paint on your table. Paper towels are good to grab just in case you get your hands dirty or you get paint where in a place you don't want it. So paper towels and also it's something to protect your clothes. So if you're wearing something that you love, maybe go change your clothes. Because if you get paint on it, you can probably get it out, but just in case you can't, I don't want to ruin anything that you love to wear with our project today. So maybe put like some old crappy sweatshirt on. Something you're not too fond of. And I think, oh, and then the last thing we'll need is like a paper plate or a plastic lid or something to put your paint on when we open it. So if you don't have anything like that, I've got an alternative we can do, and I'll walk you through that when we get started. So go, so you can pause the video, grab those other items, and I will see you for step 1. Today we are making a winter starry night canvas. So I'd like you to start thinking about winter. I know it's not everyone's favorite season, especially when we get to February. It's starting to get a little long and everyone is maybe feeling like they're ready for spring, and I'm there with you. I can't wait for spring. But I thought it'd be a nice opportunity to think about what we find beautiful about winter. So as you're painting today, just try to think about, what do you enjoy about winter? We're at the tail end of winter. Let's just try to enjoy the things about it that we like. So we're gonna make a starry night sky, which I think is beautiful in the winter. It's very just it's lovely. So your first step, we're gonna decide if you want your canvas to be the wide way or the tall way. So you get to choose. Okay, I'm going to be doing mine the tall way. So if that's easier for you to follow along and do it the way I do it, then I would do the tall way. But if you'd like to do it the long way, I'll talk you through that too. Okay. So we're gonna begin by painting our sky with our blue paint. So find your blue paint and give it a nice shake. Sometimes these haven't been mixed in a while, so we want to just hold the top closed, hold the bottom, and give it a good shake like you're shaking a ketchup bottle. And make sure that top is on tight. And then we're going to put your paint onto your plastic plate or wherever you're going to have it. I have a grocery bag underneath my painting, so I'm just going to put a little paint on that, just a little squirt to get us started. So I'm going to grab my bigger brush. So you each should have a small and a slightly larger brush. I grabbed the bigger brush. Now since I'm doing it the tall way, I'm going to choose where my horizon line is. So the horizon is where the sky meets the land. So if you look outside and you don't see any trees, it's really easy to see the horizon line. So that's what we're going to do now. I'd like to have a lot of sky because that's the whole point of this painting. So I'm going to have my horizon line down here. So about the height of your bottle here. So you could kind of mark where that bottle is, and we're going to find that line. So I'm going to dip my paintbrush in here, and I'm going to find, I'm just going to do a little line across here, as straight as you can make it. It's not a big deal if it's not straight. Horizon lines aren't always straight. And then what you're going to do is paint everything above that line blue. So we're going to paint this whole area. Okay. And if you don't have anything to put your paint on, like a plate or a grocery bag, what you can do is just squirt your paint directly on the canvas up here. So I'll show you a little of that. So I'm just gonna pour little zigzags on here, and then I'm gonna spread it out with my paint. So just take your time. There's no rush here. I'm just painting quickly so I can show you what we're doing, but you can just relax. You can you know, take your time here. You can turn on some music. Just enjoy painting this beautiful blue color. Just thinking about what you like about winter. And what have you enjoyed about this winter in particular? It's been very cold, so it might be hard to find something positive to say. I saw an owl in my tree this winter in our backyard. That was pretty beautiful. You guys seen any wildlife this winter? So you're going to paint everything above this line blue, and try to paint the sides too. So where your line is on the front, you to paint that on the sides too. We're going to paint the sides, the top, and the front, but just leave the bottom white. So you can pause the video here and just keep painting. You to paint that whole area we just talked about, and let it dry for about 5 minutes, and then paint it all again. We want it as blue as possible. So I would maybe do 2 or 3 coats, just letting it dry in between. Okay, so you can pause the video, do all your painting, and then come back for the next step. All right, enjoy your painting, guys.
Now it's your turn for step 1. Choose which way you want the canvas to go, either tall or wide. Paint the sky blue. Use 2 to 3 coats and allow to dry 10 minutes between each coat. You may move on to step 2 while your paint is drying. Pause the video here to complete step 1.
While you are waiting for your paint to dry, we can move on to the next step. So grab your piece of white construction paper, and what we're gonna do is just tear it into tiny pieces. So using your hand, start tearing it into more manageable pieces. I'm gonna start with bigger chunks and then slowly get them smaller. So now you can think about the things you don't like about winter. So you're tearing your paper. I kind of want the size of like your thumbnail and down to your pinky nail size. So whatever size your nails are, we kind of want different sizes, but we don't want them like this big. You know, when I just keep tearing them down, like, oh, what I don't like about winter, it's very long. It's cold. It's not as fun to be outside. Just keep tearing them down. And as you're thinking about things you don't like about winter, you can just remind yourself that we're almost into spring, so it's okay. So what we're going for is sort of a pile of confetti. So you want to tear that whole sheet of paper. And if you run out of things you don't like about winter, you can start listing things you like about spring. I like when everything starts to melt, and you can kind of hear it as you're driving or riding in the car. You can hear your car going through those puddles. I love that. Like, oh yes, spring. So you can tear all these sheets, and if your paint is dry, you can do another coat and then just come back to tearing the pieces of paper. And make sure you tear the entire thing up, okay? So once you're done tearing that all up, you can come back to the video. So you can pause here and work on tearing up your paper and just thinking about the things you're ready to let go of from winter and the things you're ready for from spring, from our next season.
Step 2. Tear up the white sheet of paper with your hands. Think about the things you don't like about winter and what you're excited about for spring.
All right, we are on to step 3. So now that your paint is dry, or while you're waiting for your paint to dry, we're gonna work with our little confetti shreds here. So you should have a bunch of little pieces of paper all torn up. And then now find your glue bottle from week 1. And we're gonna start gluing the paper shreds to this white section. So this is gonna be our snow. And I have it sideways just because it fits better, but once we're done with the painting, this will be at the bottom. So this is our ground. So what I'm gonna do is put some glue onto the canvas where I want to put the white paper. So you don't have to do it over the whole thing, you can just do it in little sections. So I'm going to start with these. And You can put a few in your hand at a time and just put one piece down at a time, pressing it into the glue. Or you can kind of sprinkle them down a few at a time and then press them. We're just going to keep adding this snow, and it's okay if they don't lie flat. It kind of adds more texture. So I don't know if you can see that. I've got, let's see. So some of them are sticking out. Like I'm just kind of letting it stand upright a little bit. And some are lying flat. We're just going to keep adding these. You don't have to use them all. And you don't have to cover the whole space. There can be some flat areas too, just like regular snow. There's going to be some snow mounds and then some valleys. So we're just going to keep covering the glue with our little snowflakes. I'm kind of like doing them one at a time, even though takes a little more time. So this part's going to take a little while. And just keep adding glue and paper. So I'm just going to do mine in sort of a couple little shapes here. I'm going to leave almost a little path there. And I'm going to keep gluing. And what you can do layers. So once I have a bunch of snow flurries here, I can glue more on top to make it more three-dimensional. So I can add a little more glue on top of these. And add a couple more snowflakes. So it'll just make it a little bit more like a pile of snow. And it might take a while to dry. I did my glue kind of thick, and I would recommend that too. So you have a nice thick glue so that the paper will have something to hold on to. All right, so you can pause the video and just keep working on this section, putting the white pieces of paper in your glue until you feel like it's done. And they're gonna overlap. Yeah, just keep working on that and then let it dry before you go to the next step. And I will see you in the next portion.
Now it's your turn for step 3. Glue the pieces of paper to the white side of the canvas. It's okay to layer them on top of each other. Allow to dry. Pause the video here so you can complete this step.
All right, you guys, we are ready for step 4. So your paint should be completely dry. See, I've just got one little wet spot there. You can see it's kind of shiny. Otherwise, if it's dry, it should be completely matte, so not shiny at all. I've got my snow there. So this is still a little wet, so just be careful while it's wet that you don't knock things around. So the next thing we're gonna do, we've got our dark midnight sky, we've got our snow, Now we need to do our moon and stars. So you're going to need your silver pen or silver marker, and we're going to draw the moon. So I'm going to draw a circle. Now keep it up higher on the canvas, so not down here. We want the moon up high, and you could do it in the center, on the right, or on the left. So I'm going to put this down while I draw it, and then I'll show you. I did here. So let's see. There we go. So it's about the size of a quarter. So if you guys have a quarter, you can almost trace around it. It's going to be kind of a smaller moon. It's okay if it's bigger, that's fine. Just in general, about that size. And now I'm going to color it in. So you draw your circle about the size of a quarter, and then color it in with your silver marker. Just take your time. So I pretty much have that. So we've got a moon, and now we can do the stars. So the stars are just going to be dots, kind of like my polka dots here. So I'm going to make a couple dots, and then I'll show you. I'm just kind of poking around sporadically here. You can see them a little bit. So you can just do like a light dot, and then you have the option to do kind of like a scribble. Like here I just did a little bit of a squiggle, so like some stars shine brighter than others. So you can really lightly dot for those smaller stars. You can almost do like a little cross too. That's a good star shape. And remember, some stars cluster together. So you can have, you know, more stars in one area than another, and maybe they're really spread out in a different area. So I'm going to keep playing with my stars here for a little bit. And this gets to be, this is your starry sky, so it gets to be whatever you want. If you want to have just full of stars, you can do that. This is your creation here. So just remembering to cluster some of your stars. And these markers are really wet, so you know, you don't have to press hard for them to make a mark. You can even put stars along the side of your canvas too if you want the whole thing to wrap around. Whoop. A good grip on it. So I've got quite a few stars, and sometimes they'll catch the light because this is a, you know, it's a silver marker. So there we go. Now for those of you that did it horizontally, if you did it the long way, I just did it on a smaller piece of paper. So it's the same thing. We just want a little bit of white on the bottom, painted blue on the top, then we did a little moon, and then stars. All right, well, that's our project for today, you guys. When you're done, when it's all dried, make sure you guys take a picture of it and post it on our little group. You should get an email, a link to it. Yeah, just make sure everything gets dried first. I'd love to see what your projects look like. And this week, so make sure again you save your glue. So put your glue back with the rest of the materials. Save your paint. And save your paint brushes. I don't have them next to me right now. Yeah, so save your 2 paint brushes. And make sure you wash them. So I have one that's soaking right now, but make sure you wash your paint brushes, let them dry, and then put them back with your materials, because we'll be using them again. So we don't want to lose those. I think that's all for the week, you guys. I hope you had fun and enjoyed your winter landscape with the starry sky. And you know what? I think we'll just see you next week. I hope you guys have a great week. Stay warm and remember to try to see the beauty in winter, even though I know it can be hard sometimes. Just challenge yourself to find something good about this next week with the weather. All right, you guys, have a good week. Bye.
For step 4, use the silver marker to draw a moon and stars on the blue portion of your canvas. You can use a quarter to trace the moon and then color it in. Allow the marker to dry. Remember to hold on to your paintbrushes, glue, and paint for later sessions. See you next week.